presence of multiple parties, defendants, prisoners, juries present. Do you understand that you're still under oath?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. You may continue with your examination.
Ms. Martin is going to step back down.
Yes. And you were, I believe, on Exhibit 4, State's Exhibit 431.
Yes, Your Honor. Ms. Hayward, turning your attention to States 431 in evidence, do you recognize this image?
Yes.
Did you take this?
Yes.
Of the patient, Carly Scott?
Yes.
Now, will you tell us what we're looking at in this sonogram image?
Sure. So the arrow's pointing to the penis of the fetus.
And you've indicated a designation in regards to a gender.
Yes.
And where is that?
Up here.
And it is?
A boy.
And is this a normal image generated as part of an anatomy scan per doctor's order?
No, it's not a requirement. It's just if the patient asks for it, then I will usually go ahead and print a picture for them.
Now, writing where you wrote boy, was that something that you would generate for the radiologist, or is it specifically for the patient?
If I generate it for the patient, then I'll go ahead and generate one for the radiologist as well.
Okay. Okay. 429 is on the screen now before you. Did you recognize this image?
Yes.
Did you create this one as well?
Yes.
All right. Will you explain to us what we're looking at in this one and why you created this specific image?
So this demonstrates that the fetus is viable. It's the fetal heart rate, using the M mode, which is motion mode in ultrasound terms. So that just shows how fast the heart rate was.
And is that reported here on your slide?
Yes, right up here on top.
May the record reflect the witnesses indicating to the box marked 1. Is that the 1 HR?
Yes, heart rate.
All right. And let's turn to 432. Do you recognize this image?
Yes, that's the final worksheet that the machine generates at the end of taking all the measurements.
What do you mean by that?
So there's several measurements that we take. It all gets put into a package, and then that tells us about how far along the fetus is. So we take the bipyramidal diameter, the head circumference, the abdominal circumference, which would be around the abdomen, and then the femur length, which is just the measurement of the long bone in the leg.
Right, so when you're saying the bipyramidal, that's the BPD value you're pointing to?
Yes.
And the head circumference is the HC?
Yes.
And then what's that next one, OFD?
That one is the occipital. Let's see. That's not one that I generate.
Okay.
That I take measurements of. I think that's just part of the package.
All right, is that why there's not another there's a blank spot next to it?
Correct.
Okay, let's go to the next one, which is the AC
That's the abdominal circumference.
and the FL.
Femur length.
Okay, and you have indication at the top of this report that you're talking about on the first line. Will you explain to us why there's numbers on the first line in regards to the GA? What is the GA?
That's the gestational age based upon the patient's last menstrual period.
And then, what is it in regards to your report for the patient Charlie Scott from your scan, January 17th of 14?
The day that I scanned her, according to all the measurements that are put into the package, she was 19 weeks, 3 days, plus or minus 1 week, 0 day.
So there's actually 2 ways to estimate the gestational age?
Oh, yes.
Will you explain that for us?
Well, by the last menstrual period, so the first day of the last menstrual period, there's a format, again, that gets put into the package on the ultrasound machine, and then that generates about how far along for the patient is for ultrasound purposes.
And then the other value that you've indicated based upon the measurements, the CUA?
Yeah, so that's the after all these measurements put together, that's what we get with the ultrasound.
And does this report of yours indicate the doctor to whom this is to be transmitted?
Yes,
Or the doctor that ordered the test?
yes.
Where is that on this report?
What goes to the physician?
Yes, the doctor. How do you know who ordered the report?
Oh, Dr. Ammerman, right here,
And where,
where it says referring physician.
is that the REF period? Do you transmit this as well as another set of values to the radiologist for review?
Yes.
Can you explain that to us? What other values that you were giving to the radiologist in addition to this report?
As far as the heart rate and
In regards to any other observations you may make during your sonogram?
just make sure that I have all of the anatomy checked off as to what I was able to see, and if I wasn't able to see something, that I would document that for him, and then he would go over the images and compare it to this and verify that that's what he saw as well.
Okay, terrific. Will you have a seat, please? Now, in regards to each of the images that we've discussed today, in regards to a single patient, is that right?
Yes.
Have you ever had an instance where you generated a report for a patient that turned out not to be that person?
In my 16 years, not that I recall, I don't think I've ever done that before.
In everything that you testified to today, was that to a reasonable degree of diagnostic certainty based upon your education, training, and experience as a registered medical diagnostic sonographer?
Yes.
Right, and everything that you testified to happened here on Maui?
Yes.
I think I don't have any further questions from Ms. Gibbon.
Thank you.
Cross-examination, Mr. Uphold.
I just thank this witness. I have no questions for you.
Are there any juror questions?
No, Your Honor.
All right. Thank you very much. Your excuse.
You're welcome.
The state recalls Nancy Solomon to the stand. Thank you. Mayor, if I could just have a moment to switch gears, please.
And I'll have the record reflect that Ms. Solomon was previously being called as a witness during this proceeding and has been placed under oath and remains under oath. And when she returns to the witness stand, I'll of course remind her of that, as is my standard practice. Good morning. You may be seated. Thank you.
Thank you.
And do you understand that you're still under oath?
Yes, sir.
Would you please, for our record, state your name?
Sure, my name is Nancy Solomon.
Thank you very much. You may continue with your examination of the witness.
Yes, Your Honor, thank you. I'm just not quite, just one more moment, please. Yeah, if you could disconnect that.
Good morning.
You still work at AT&T?
I still work at AT&T.
Now, in regards to the phone records that we
Mhm.
talked about before you left the courthouse,
Yes.
at your last testimony, just to bring you back to where you were, we talked about two different types of phone records, the voice usage
Correct.
and then the data usage.
Yes.
Okay, as soon as I connect my iPad, I would like to show you a page for the SMS or the text message usage.
The council's testifying, you know.
Oh my goodness.
I'll take that as an objection and overrule the objection.
Let's just see if we can get this on. May the record reflect Attorney Defense Counsel's attention to what I will display as another representative page from a date in January, which is page 36.
Proceed.
Okay, terrific, thank you. All right. Okay. And one quick second. Could I have, please, 390 and 391, Madam Clerk, thank you. Those are documents. Okay, good. Good job. Thank you. We approach Ms. Owen.
You may.
I'm sure you would have been marked for identification. I think we'll just limit this to the one. This. Okay. Let's look at 390. Now, I'll refer you to a specific. Okay. In regards to 390, the first 3 pages, do those documents that you testified are business records for AT&T include a key for reading the cell phone records?
Yes, they do.
And what kind of information is on that key in states 390 to assist in reading these records?
It has key character definitions and description of the suffix definitions.
So, for example, and turning your attention to what is page 36 on the screen at this time, can you tell us what kind of usage this is for?
Can I step around to look?
Please.
Apologize.
Sorry about that.
Okay. So this, sorry, I don't want to lock you folks. This is for number 808-359-4842, and it is a description of text messages in and out, and MS is text messaging. So you see where it says under this column and description, it talks about going in and out.
Okay, may the record reflect the witness is referring to the column header? Is that what you were talking about when you
Yes,
said description?
the column header description is referring to text messages in and out.
And when you say, when it's a text message, let me just enlarge this area for you. Let's go for these first three designations. We describe what in means.
In is an incoming text message from another number, and out is an outgoing text message from that number.
And what is out underscore MMS?
Out MMS is mobile messaging system.
What does that mean?
I'm sorry, not mobile, it's multimedia, and it means it can be text, or it could be picture or image.
All right, so let's, like we did for the other two pages, can you give us a tour of page number 36, please?
Absolutely. The first column is once again the line number item on this particular report. The second column is the date. The third column is time. Fourth column is the originating number, terminating number, the IMEI of the number that's listed here, 3594842. And IMEI, once again, means International Mobile Identification. So it's unique to each cell phone. So the first one is the one for the United States, and the second one is for international use. So we commonly just refer to it to IMEI. And then description column we talked about, and then cell tower location, once again. It has the location of the region of the cell tower, the actual cell tower, and then longitude and latitude direction.
Okay, thank you. Now, in regards to the other information that's on, oh, sorry. Let me just take this off. Now, in regards to the other information that's in the cell records that you reviewed, there's also another report called the NELOS or NELOS report.
Yes.
Okay. What is that report? Well, actually,
I don't know. I'm sorry.
Let me ask you a different question. I'm sorry, I realized that was not phrased properly for you. Does the NELOS report, the NELOS report that you reviewed for each of the CDs of data for the phone records 808-359-4842 and 808-280-5332, are those NELOS reports true and correct copies of business records kept by AT&T?
Yes, they are.
I'm going to object, lack of foundation based on her last response.
That called for some sort of technical conclusion. She's the custodian.
Do you wish to voir dire any of your objection?
I think just based on her last response that she doesn't know what a NELOS is, how can she verify NELOS?
Let's get that clarified in terms of what she knows and
Okay.
doesn't.
Are there different, when you reviewed the CD of those NELOS reports,
Yes.
and I don't have a laptop here to show you, but maybe afterwards.
As soon as facts not in evidence in terms of the CD, what are we talking about here?
Judge, I'm referring her to the compact disc of 393 and 394 that she's...
I'll sustain the objection. As phrased, the question didn't make reference to an exhibit, so if we can just get that clarified, all you have to do is rephrase the question.
Yes, okay. When you reviewed the CDs states 393 and 391, there were other data sets besides these call data and SMS records, is that correct?
That's correct.
All right, and that included another type of report?
Another type of report, yes.
And what type of report is that? What's it called?
The Nellis report.
All right, is a Nellis report kept as a regular record for AT&T?
Yes, it is.
And is a Nellis report on states 394 and 393 a true and accurate copy of a business record kept and relied on by you as the custodian of records for AT&T in regards to each phone number?
Yes, they are.
Okay. The approach with 438.
Yes.
How do we approach?
Yes.
The settlement I'm showing you states 438 for identification. Do you recognize that?
Yes, I do.
And what is it?
It is a report from our compliance center stating a tower location and the azimuth of that tower.
All right, now, without talking about that specific information and what it is that record that you have in front of you, and how many pages is that?
It's 3.
Is that a regular record of AT&T kept in the normal course of business?
Yes, it is.
Is it created at or near the time of the events or data collections that are reported on it?
Yes.
And you, as the custodian, rely on such a record?
Yes.
Gary, can we take an early lunch break at this time? I think because we're just about, actually, maybe not. Now, in regards to that, I think maybe we could finish up before lunch on that. Now, in regards to that record, you said it came from,
Our compliance center, yes.
is that the National Court Order Compliance Center we spoke about?
Correct.
Who at the National Court Order Compliance Center provided you with that record?
Jason Jackson, who is a compliance security analyst
And where is he located?
in Florida.
Okay. Thanks for coming back again, Ms. Solomon. At this
You're
time, I have
welcome.
no further questions.
Yes, sir. Well,
Just relative to your answers about, or to those last questions about those documents you have up there, which are identified as states 438. Is it your testimony that those documents are kept in your regular course of business?
Your objection to that, it's as a custodian of, rather than personally?
I'll sustain the objection. I think it just needs to be rephrased. That's all.
Well, let me ask you this. If you're saying you're the custodian of these records, why did you have to go get them from Mr. Jackson?
I don't object to the argumentative nature of what this witness had to do.
The objection is overruled. You may answer the question.
I'm a custodian for AT&T documentation, so any manager from my level up is a custodian of AT&T documentation, and that's why I'm here, is to represent AT&T as the custodian of this document.
Well, let me ask you this. When was were those documents generated, to your knowledge?
To my knowledge,
You know, I'm going to object to that as not relevant.
She's the custodian of records.
Excuse me. Let me just say two things. Number one, I think it'd be a good idea when we refer to the documents, rather than referring to them as those documents, to make sure that we identify them by exhibit, because there are a number of exhibits that are being used right now. It may not be clear as to what exhibits we're referring to. The other comment, or I think may need to be clarified. When you're saying documents, are you referring to when the business record was generated, or are you referring to when the printout was prepared? Because I think you understand the difference
I
between
do,
the two.
Your Honor, and I can rephrase. Relative to those documents you have there, and can I ask how many documents you have there which are incorporated as States Exhibit 438?
I have 3 pages.
Now, relative to those 3 pages of documents, do you know when those documents were printed out?
Objection, relevance.
The objection is overruled.
So I'm not sure I understand the question. Are you asking me when they were printed or when they were, I mean,
I think my words are pretty clear.
When were they
Do you know
printed?
the date when they were printed out?
yesterday? We printed them yesterday from a secured email.
And that was, well, do you know?
I'm sorry, it wasn't yesterday, it was the day before. I apologize.
Now, did you just change your answer because Ms. Jones stood up and you
No,
were
I just
correctly
realized I wasn't here
reminded?
yesterday. It was the day before. I apologize.
Oh, that's it. Who generated, do you know who printed those documents out?
I printed the documents from a secured email I received from our analyst.
Okay, now, let me ask you this. How many of other documents like that do you regularly keep in your custody of those exact same documents?
Objection, relevance, Your Honor.
She testified that she
The
regularly keeps
All right, I'm going to overrule the objection.
It's also vague in regards to other types of documents, Your Honor. AT&T is a huge company.
I'll Sustain the objection as to vagueness.
Have you ever seen documents like that before?
Yes, I have.
How many of other documents like that do you keep in your regular course of business as the custodian of records?
Objection as to vagueness to other types of documents, given the number of documents and the type at AT&T.
I'll sustain the objection. Are you referring to other business records?
My question was specific. What other types of that exact type of documents?
I see.
Because you'd agree with me, I mean, you don't keep documents like that in your office, right? I mean, it's not like you're a physical custodian of record where you have files with documents like that filed away, right?
Objection, relevance.
The objection is overruled.
So to answer your question, these are on a secured server. So our documentation is maintained on secured servers unless it is asked for. So no, I don't have papers in my office.
Let me ask you this. Can you acknowledge that there's some data contained in those 3 documents that are all identified as States Exhibit 438?
I guess, yes.
Do you even know what they are? What those numbers or anything that's on the document is?
Your Honor, I'm going to object to the argument at this time. This is the custodian of the records who verifies the record. She's being asked and challenged now about interpretation.
I intend to ask her a different question, but I just wanted to see her extent of knowledge relative to what we're even talking about.
I'll overrule the objection. You may answer the question.
I am not a network engineer, so no.
Can you tell us when the data contained in that document was input into the AT&T system?
It's inputted in real time, so it happens at the time of the transmission. It's the same as calls. Anytime it goes to a tower, it's automatic. Nobody inputs it.
So can you tell us?
It's electronic.
And so does that, interesting. So you're saying that, actually, can you access those documents without the assistance of someone else?
No, because they're on a secured server, and no one can access without permission from either the account holder, or it has to be subpoenaed or warranted by an officer. So they're secured servers. We just don't. The way we use the
Okay,
stuff
so
on
can we just be clear then?
Objection,
Wait,
Your Honor, she's speaking up.
Let her finish your response. Thank you.
The only time that we use the information from that server is for billing purposes or to enhance our network. And we don't go into individual accounts or numbers or IMEIs unless we're asked to by a police officer, subpoenaed, or a warrant, or the account holder wants that information and goes through a lawyer to get it.
Okay, and that's with respect to like phone bills and the call records that you went over and explained to the jury and stuff like that, right?
Anything that's on a secured server has to have that happen. That has to happen.
You'd agree with me that the bottom line is that you do not have access to those 3 documents unless someone else gave them to you.
Objection as to the characterization of what the bottom line is.
The objection is sustained.
Can we agree that without somebody else's assistance giving that to you, those 3 documents and the data therein, you would normally not have access to that?
Objection as to the relevance of counsel.
The objection is overruled. You may answer the question.
I'm a custodian of records for AT&T. That's my answer. That's what I'm here for. I'm a custodian of any records that happens within AT&T.
Forgive me if that doesn't end the inquiry. My inquiry is
Okay.
whether you are able to get the data that's contained in those 3 documents without the assistance of somebody else in AT&T?
Your Honor, I'm going to object to the preamble of that question.
The objection is overruled.
You may answer the question. Your Honor.
So listen, I'm a custodian of the AT&T documents. There are lots of documents in our large company that I don't personally have access to. Doesn't mean that we don't have access to it, just mean I personally don't.
Are you taking this personal? In terms of
No,
my...
I'm going to object.
Excuse me. Okay. All right, please, let's not,
You're supposed to motive by his interest at this point. Why is he digging in? I just have not...
here's my point. Let's bring down the tone of the examination, all right? And, all right, please.
But I didn't know my tone was so bad. I don't even have any questions.
I'm not trying to characterize
Every
you.
question is going to be objected to. I don't have any other questions.
All right, well, please understand, I'm not trying to characterize it in any fashion. I just, thank you.
Judge, apparently I have to conduct myself in the way
Please.
Ms. Jones needs me to conduct myself, and I can't do it apparently. So I have no further questions.
All right. We'll take a lunch recess at this time. Thank you very much.
Thank you.